That's my name, DaGradi. I'm a photographer at the Yale School of Medicine, and I'm about to tell you about the journey of the brains. Harvey Cushing, this is the master behind the journey of the brains. He was the founder of neurosurgery. He was meticulous, he was driven, he was a collector, he was a writer, he was an artist, and he basically created the science of brain surgery. He took it from a mortality rate of 7% to 10% over a 30-year period. These are some examples of his drawings. He kept journals. So you see some of these beautiful landscapes that he did while he traveled through Europe, and immediately he was able to somehow access that same ability and put it into medical illustrations. In the same way that you see the space and the texture and the sense of dimension is in both levels of his illustrations. The little guy up there with the dark hair, that's Harvey Cushing in 1902 when he took out his first tumor, successful intracranial tumor at the Johns Hopkins Hospital. He sent it down to pathology to be analyzed, and they lost it. He was very mad. So from that point forward, he decided he would keep all of his specimens. Okay, this is a fast forward 30 years. He's now been the head of surgery at the Brigham Hospital in Boston for the last 20, and this is his 2000th verified brain tumor operation. And all along the way, he's been collecting brains and specimens and information about each and every one of his patients to create a teaching tool. In addition to everything else he did, every time he came out of the operating room, he would do operative notes on the patients. They then became part of the patient records, along with the x-rays and photographs and words and drawings. And again, it was the intention to build a teaching tool for the next generation of neurosurgeons. We now see Louise Eisenhardt, who was a protege, a colleague, and a friend of Cushing from 1915 to 1934, and she was also very instrumental in formally building the Cushing tumor registry. She kept him honest, kept his records, and didn't let him cheat. These are a few of the brains of the jars. There are about 600 of them, and they were moved to New Haven in 1934 after Harvey Cushing retired from the Brigham. They were brought here, and they were seen as an incredible tool for education, and they were visited by neurosurgeons and surgeons for probably into the 60s, until technology started to change. Okay, now fast forward again to 1996. The brains have been pushed to the basement, and the medical students know about it, and they are going to find them. This is Chris Wall. He decided to search for the brains, and he traveled down to the sub-basement where they had been moved, and decided that he was going to figure out what those brains were all about. And this is how you travel to the sub-basement of the medical school. It kind of reminds me of arteries. As I started looking at it, I thought, well, these looks like vessels and arteries. But so everything that went into the basement eventually has to come out. So just keep that in mind when you start thinking about the things we have to move through this beautiful landscape. But Chris became enthralled by the collection. He entered the room. On the left-hand side is the column, and that's where about 600 specimens were held. There's 600 jars, but about 2,200 specimens in all, whole brain as well as tumors. On the right-hand side was where the negatives were kept. Not very carefully, but there was about 10,000 glass plate as well as film negatives. Some of them survived better than the others. So this is my opportunity. I was invited to, a box of glass plates were delivered to me. I started to print them, and I just fell in love with this project and decided that I needed to stay with it. And thank goodness Dr. Spencer was Chris's advisor, and he has allowed me over the years to be part of this project. This is a sample of some of the clinical images. These are all patient photos. Often he would photograph serially. We don't actually know who took the pictures, but we know they were taken, and they're basically sort of a time capsule in medical history that I don't think we'll ever see again. They're beyond medical, they're beyond documentary, and they just have an eeriness and beauty about them. So once we decided that we need to move those brains from the basement, we hired a wet specimen specialist. He came in and told us what we needed to do to preserve the brains, to protect them, and how to move them, because we were now going to build the Cushing Center for the brains to live in. We had to find somebody to spend the year of her life opening those jars, pouring out the liquid, cleaning the glass, recording all the information, and we found this amazing person, Nicole St. Pierre. She graduated from UNH in forensic and pre-med, and she spent a year from June of 2009 to April of 2010 restoring all the specimens. We then had to move these things. They were in the sub-basement. We had to move them to the morgue. They had to be restored. We have to move them to the temporary space, and then we have to wait for the center to be built. And thank goodness for the Office of Environmental Health and Safety. We had to pack each little brain up very carefully and move them through the hallways. The shadowy creature on the top of the ramp is actually the architect behind the plan of the Cushing Center. It's Turner Brooks, and he came up with an extraordinary plan for the space. It actually ended up being another sub-basement space, this time in the medical library. And he turned it into a remarkable space. On April 27th, we moved 400 specimens from the temporary storage into the newly built space, and a crew of 20 of us kind of opened, unwrapped, and then one by one laid them out into their now permanent collection in the Cushing Center. This is the view from the seminar room looking into the center. This is kind of a tease. I didn't give you too many images of the space because you need to go there yourself. What you see in there are the little discovery drawers. They're medical instruments and artifacts. Some of the photos from the collection are also there, and I invite you to visit the center. It's part of the medical school library. This is Dr. Spencer, who I've worked with for the last 15 years on this project. He's an amazing man. He's a neurosurgeon, and he's been the soft but powerful force behind making this happen, as well as the numerous brains, and I have to say that have helped make this project work. The architects, the cabinet makers, the lighting people. And now we're back to Dr. Harvey Cushing, and without him this would not be possible. He had a reputation for amazing compassion with his patients, and I think that's what allowed him to ask these people at a moment of very difficult times whether he could keep the specimens and eventually to use this all as a teaching device for neurosurgeons.